was at in Boston in 1983. I've been the Violent Femmes, and I've been slowly going deaf since that day. And so I think I've actually, I guess it makes sense. I've reached it. I'm reaching. I think the word is apotheosis, but I actually am. I think really now starting to go onto the deaf side. So what I've been doing is hearing the crowd. Really enjoying everybody, but actually not hearing what anyone was saying. And so I'm a little paranoid that, maybe I'll repeat like something that they said. So if anyone, talked about me, that I might repeat that. I also think it's such a beautiful library here. I grew up in libraries. My mom's a librarian. She was in reference, and then when she started showing antisocial tendencies, they moved her into cataloging. So kept her out of the limelight. And you want to hire a Stalinist to do your cataloging. I think it's just a lot of books just disappear. It's really traumatic. I also just want to say, I was just looking at this, and it says nonfiction, and then I just sort of serially turned. I said, so on the other side, like, what's the opposite of nonfiction? And it's nonfiction. There's actually, either way you go is nonfiction. And I think maybe that's where we've reached as a world. I don't know what that means. So this is supposed to be about masquerading, right? About masquerading. So I'm going to tell you something that happened to me. In which I was called upon to masquerade, actually to act in a masquerade. Okay, it was in a movie in which I was to play a character who was at a masquerade party, and the movie. You wouldn't have heard of the director Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola, and Coppola had decided, he was going to follow up on a lot of his really ambitious Godfather type movies, Apocalypse Now, and just do this film about called Jack about. It was about a boy who, he has the disease where he gets old, but you can't, he gets old too fast. So he's 10, but he looks like he's 40. And he was played by Robin Williams. And the thing is that, what's weird is that the boy looked, exactly like Robin Williams. And it's just weird that a 10-year-old would just look that much like Robin Williams. But I guess it sort of made sense for the casting. So I had never played anyone besides myself. And even when I play myself, I try to get into character. I try to do some research. I try to remember what I felt like when I was me. And it was, very traumatic. It's hard for me. But it's the leap I make for you, the people. And so I played me, but then I actually got cast in this movie. And they said, well, you got a part in Jack. I said, oh, is it like Jack? No, it's being played by Robin Williams. But Robin Williams has his parents. I said, oh, so his parents know you're a friend of his parents, and you're at a masquerade party, and you're to dress in a costume, and they sent me the script, and the costume was as a giant cigarette pack. And so I went through a little bit of a moral, because I wanted them, to work. I wanted the money. I wanted to play someone, not me. But I wasn't sure I wanted to play a giant cigarette pack. Because as I read the script, it seemed to be a movie that was geared towards kids, towards young people. And I thought, well, if they see someone happy who's a cigarette pack, dressed as a cigarette pack, that might give them the idea that smoking is really good and, really makes you happy. So I said to the casting director, can I play something else? Since I'm a guy, it doesn't seem to be intrinsic to the plot that I'm a giant cigarette pack. It really didn't seem, I doubt anyone had really given it much thought at all. Someone had just typed it, basically. And so I said, can I play something besides a cigarette pack? And so they asked, she said, I'm going to ask Francis. And so then she asked Francis, and she called me back. She said, well, Francis says you can think of 3 alternatives to being a cigarette pack. And so, and so now the pressure was on, because, I felt like I'd never, up to that point, 10 people had seen me, and now I was going to be in a movie seen by, maybe 20, and it was going to affect people. It was going to affect the world, maybe affect kids. Like, what would they want to be? Would they want to grow up to be this guy that they saw that I was playing in this movie? And so I kind of froze, and the only thing that I could come up with that I sent back was that I suggested that they have me go as Leon Trotsky with an ice pick through his head. So then, I felt pretty optimistic, because I thought it's more of an angle than a cigarette pack. I mean, you're very unlikely to see Trotsky with an ice pick in his head. in any other movie, especially geared towards children. And so, and then she got back to me. She said, well, I asked Francis, and I told him about, Leon Trotsky, and he said, no, you have to stick with the cigarette pack. So now I was really kind of, a little bit tortured, and I really wondered, should I do it? So I had interviewed this guy, Wally Shawn, who, he's this guy who does these really, really astringent, very moral plays. I adore him. I had interviewed him for a magazine, and he also acts in seemingly anything that offers him money. And so, and I had interviewed him. I had his number, so I left it on his phone. And then I said, Wally, I don't remember. This is Josh. I'm the guy who interviewed you. And then they transcribed it and they ran in the magazine with all us in it. And he said, yeah. And so I left that for him. And I said, here's the situation. I'm being asked to play cigarette pack. Is it moral? Is it moral to play cigarette pack in this movie? And he called me back from. He said, I'm in Vermont. I picked up I've never tried to do an impression of Wally Shawn, but that's why I dressed as a bald Jew for tonight. So it's like, I got your message on my machine. Wow. And I said, yeah. So what do you think? So well, Josh, look. If you accept that drama is a legitimate form, which you need not, but if you accept it, then someone's got to be bad. In the drama, someone's got to be bad, and I assume if you're a man dressed as a giant cigarette pack, that you are bad. So you would be playing a bad person, you would not be evil in and of yourself, you would be portraying evil within the context of a drama. And it was around this point I was just thinking, well, he really just takes any job. So this is incredible that he could rationalize, I would like to play, naked Hitler, and it would have a thing for me. No, it works, it's a more. So then I sort of decided, Wally Shawn, who was pure, I was raised by communists, but he was raised by the head of the New Yorker, who had weird double families, and then he became a socialist on his own. So I became a socialist because it was the family business. But he did it on purpose. So I thought, he's real. He's friends with, those people that are really cool and in New York, and he lives in Chelsea. things I could never do. So then I felt completely relaxed about playing a cigarette pack. And then, so I got my cigarette pack put on me, and you pulled out a thing, and a stub came out, and I went to this party, and they were casting, they had a band that was playing, they were all miming, it was at Bimbo's, this big club in San Francisco, and it was supposed to be like da 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 da, whatever that is, that sort of band, da 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 da, like that. So I was a cigarette pack, and then this woman, Helen Shoemaker, who I just met, she was playing a martini, giant martini. And the thing is, I said, Helen, I really don't know. I'm trying to get over the whole moral thing about playing a cigarette pack. She said, don't complain to me, because I'm leaking. They had put liquid in it, and she was leaking. She was genuinely leaking. So, so that put it in context for me. It's like when you think I'm hungry, but then you think about people in the world. I'm a cigarette pack, but she's a leaking drink. So we're all set up to go, and we're all ready, and they're like, get everything set up for this really, really big scene. And then, there's this band that's all miming playing. They're all ready to mime. They're wearing frilly things, they're a real band, but they're being paid to mime playing. And just before, the guy goes, okay, settle, speed, and then this guy from the band, this guy, the trumpet player, he leaves me, he goes, you're Josh Kornbluth, right? I said, yeah. I said, yeah, man, I've seen you, at the Mars and stuff like that. I said, yeah. Man, how would you sell out like that, playing a cigarette pack? And they went, action! And I was, fuck. He called me on it, and he was wearing a frilly thing. When someone wearing a frilly thing and holding a trumpet calls you on your ethics, you really reach a low. You reach a new low. So then I had two more scenes. I think there's still a little more time here. So I had two more. So they had one more scene, and then they added a scene. I was going to play a scene where, okay, so we're the parents. We're friends with the parents who are dressed as the wicked they're going to give birth to Robin Williams. And we're the friends, and we're all at a masquerade party, and then the mom goes into labor way too early because of the acceleration thing. Okay, so then the next scene is supposed to be in a hospital, at Hospital here in Marin somewhere. It's a fake hospital. Well, it was an old hospital, but anyhow, so it was a hospital, and then they said, right before they said, Josh, we've added another scene, the casting director said, this is fantastic. You, the cigarette pack, are going to drive everyone else in a car to the hospital in Marin. And Josh, here's my question for you. Do you drive a stick? And so my thing was, well, I answered honestly. I mean, my honest answer was no. I do not drive a stick. That wasn't the full truth. I mean, it depends how I don't know. I have to talk to Donald Rumsfeld about this kind of thing, but it's like, I don't drive at all. I mean, I've never driven a car. So, I'm from New York City, and I went to the Bronx High School of Science, which is party school, and they actually had a choice between putting up a mural to the great scientists and mathematicians of the world or driver's ed. And so the mural is just beautiful. And so I didn't know how to drive at all. And so I said, I don't know how to drive a stick. Well, you got to learn. You got 2 weeks. And and also it's Francis's car. It's Francis's car from, I don't know if it's like a Peugeot or something. It's like, so even the normal way that you would do a stick would be difficult for someone because it's the European stick way of driving. And you're going to drive like the 3 main actors, except for Robin Williams, to this thing in the car, and you have 2 weeks. I say, I don't drive a stick. She said, well, this is, make it work moment. So I've been watching Too Much Project Runway, but she said something like that. So I went to I called up driver's ed. It was before the internet, pretty much. And I called driver's ed, and the guy took it, and I said, I have to learn today how to drive a stick. He said, so when you're driving, how long have you been? I said, no, I don't drive at all, so I have to learn how to drive and drive a stick. And so he was telling me, like, well, there's, and I realized now it's important, which one is the gas and which one is the brake. And that you're not supposed to use your hands, but on the brakes. But it's still, it was, and it was in San Francisco. So he said, okay, we're gonna go up a hill. We're gonna go up, I mean, really, it was like one of those hills in San Francisco. He said, we're gonna go up a hill. So I've seen people drive. I've seen in movies, and I drove bumper cars. But I understand that out in the world that the idea is the goal is different. You don't want to bump into other people. And so I started going, and the thing is, it stalled, and then it would go, and then the thing is, I realized that I'm distractible, and so I was saying, that's the gas station people told me about. We were there driving. I said, hey, I read about that gas station in the Chronicle. That's the gas station where they still clean your stuff. And as I'm looking over, and I realized, because the guy is yelling at me, that I'm supposed to be driving. Wait, how much? I can't see that. How much time do I have? Okay. I mean, I literally can't hear or see. This is like, welcome to 54. Okay. So I realized that, I mean, this is something that you probably take for granted because you probably drive, right? Or many of you, someone must drive here. But you're supposed to watch the road while you're driving. For me, it didn't matter if you're in a bumper car, or alternatively, if you're playing an arcade game in which, you're Homer Simpson or something. This is later on. You don't have to look because nothing is going to happen. This is actually the real world. I actually was driving. It was like one of those dreams. Except I don't think everyone's ever had this dream. People have had the dream when you're naked and stuff, and you're ordering a soda. Maybe not soda. I know for most of us, am I right, sticky buns, right? But in any case, we've had, but I don't think people have had the dream. I was actually looking there while driving there, is what I'm trying to say. And so the guy was telling me about his family, the teacher. He started telling me about his children, that he had many children, and that they were young. And he had come here from Guatemala, and this is how he supported them. And his wife was unemployed currently, and his children depended on them, not just financially, but depended on him emotionally as well, to be alive. That the children had become, if you will, because kids are soft these days, they become accustomed to having a living father. And what? Having son in law. Yes, yeah, exactly. So I made it back to, he said, look, you have learned. I certify you. I said, is that official? I said, I certify you. Get out. I can teach you no more. So I had my learner's permit, which I got on my third try. My learner's permit, and then it was like the day before, and I was really thinking, this is an ethical question, because I believe I'm a moral person. I believe we're all moral. I believe we're both moral and immoral. I don't believe, really, I've lost belief in anything with global warming. But what I'm saying is, I was trying to decide, should I drive these 3 actors in Coppola's car, right? and Coppola's car, and they had shown me Coppola's car. You know, they had driven it around to the set, you know, said, this is the car you're going to be driving. I said, isn't it cool? I don't know, a car looks like a car to me. All cars look silly to me. I said, oh wow, there's a wheel. Oh, it's a driving wheel and some wheelie things and a fender. You know, like I'm trying to be excited about it, but I'm just not excited about cars. And so then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to drive that car, and then I'm going to smash it and kill everyone. But balancing that, it's a day's work at Screen Actors Guild minimum. So I was pretty much set on going. But I was hoping for divine intervention, which is hard when you don't believe. I actually believe in God now, but not in intervention. So I just believe God just lets it go. And so what happened was this. I'm almost done. I really am. I'm almost done. So what happened was this. The day before, I get a call. They say, it seems like it's going to rain tomorrow, Josh. So I know you've been looking forward to driving Francis Coppola's car, but unfortunately, we're going to have to do this as a process shot. We're going to actually put you in the car, inside like a place where we will film it and make believe with lights that you were driving at night. So you have to make believe that you're driving, but you won't actually be driving. And I'm sorry, Josh, if that isn't the full experience that you wanted. And I thought, wow, so like, I'm not gonna kill people, and I'll make money. That's a good day. So lastly, the last part of the story is, the last scene that I was in, we had to go, it was in a hospital, it was in a fake, I think maybe it was decommissioned, maybe they just made all the patients leave because Francis Coppola wanted to make a movie there. And get out, but I'm having a stroke. Coppola, all right, solid. Although Godfather 3 kind of, ow, it hurts to think about. So, okay, so, I mean, I really don't know. He's a Marin guy, so maybe you guys know him better. I don't know him at all, really. I mean, he's really, so I'm getting ready, and I'm wearing my thing, my costume, you know, stuff, and so I go up, and there are two things I have to do. One is go through the metal detector. That's the thing is I'm supposed to go through. All four of us wearing costumes supposed to go through the metal detector. The one who was playing Robin Williams' dad is the Tin Man, and the joke is that it goes off, and then he has to keep taking off his stuff. I don't know where they come up with this stuff in Hollywood. So, but all I had to do was just be the cigarette pack to go through. But then I would say, hey, you can make a thing about it too, like no smoking. Like, no smoking, you know, it's a cigarette pack, you know, like that. It's just go through. John, you're a bit player. Who are you? Okay, so I'll just go through. So I go through, and then there's a woman who's an extra, who's playing the admissions person, and I try to go through, and she just shakes her head. She's a nurse. She goes, and I've never been in a scene with anyone else, like a dramatic scene like that. And I was offended. No, I was crushed. When people act like they're being mean to me in a movie, I think they're really being mean to me. I thought she didn't like me. And so I was just crying. I was just completely depressed and distraught. So then they said, okay, Josh, we're not going to use this scene now. There's one last thing you have to do, and it's a pratfall. Do you do pratfalls? I said, well, as much as I drive, I do pratfalls, yes. And so what I had to do is run and then trip and fall. But no one would trip me, so I had to trip myself. So Diane Lane, who is an actress in it playing Robin Williams' mom, she showed me how to trip, in case you need to do this. If you ever need to trip yourself in a movie, whether or not you're dressed in a cigarette pack, although it helps. Do you know how to do this? You probably do. But what you do is, oh, you can't see this anyhow. What you do is you bang your toe into your heel, right? So you're running, she told you you're running, and then you bang your toe into your heel. And what happens is that it stops. It completely stops your momentum. Well, no, your foot. It stops your foot. It totally doesn't stop your momentum. And you fall down. And so I asked Coppola, hey, can I just do sort of like a funny little dance, like, whoa, instead of like falling? And he said, I would like you to do the pratfall. I said, wow, okay, I don't have a choice. So now, action. And so I'm reading and I'm just thinking, this really could be the end of my life. I mean, this could be, or I could break things. I mean, no one has trained me in this. How did I get hired for this job? Why do they assume that a bald, fat person can trip himself? Why? Where are the patients in this real hospital? What's going on? And I'm rounded the corner, and I saw Diane Lane. She was dressed as the Wicked Witch of the West, and she was praying for me.
She was praying, and I ran down the corner, and there were all these cameras on me, and then it happened so slowly in my mind. I couldn't practice because, you know, if I was going to die, I wanted to die, you know, on camera, on film. And I kicked my toe into my heel, and I stopped, and I started to fall. And I swear to you, it was beautiful. Falling, it felt like forever, like lost in this lacuna, this time sometimes that I dream of, this time where there's this place where there's no death, there's no suffering, there's no torture, there's no corporate control of our country, there's no evil, there's not even mean animals who are mean to other animals, there's just niceness and total life and occasional sex and chicken. Okay, I just thought of all the things I like. All the things with no limit. And it was all happening, and it was never going to end. It was never going to end. And the cameras caught it, and I fell. And when I hit the ground, my cigarette pack cushioned me. So I just bounced gently off the floor. I bounced back up. Unlike a real cigarette patient, I bounced back up off the floor, and he said, "Cut!" He, Coppola, said, "Cut. Print it." And I knew it isn't evil to play a cigarette pack, because we need drama. We need drama, and if we need drama, we need someone to play the cigarette pack. And sometimes we need that cigarette pack to drive. And sometimes we need that cigarette pack to fall. And that cigarette pack is us. And I am it. And we are all together, embraced mutually in a field of love. Thank you.